Hello and welcome to another episode of the Top Flight Show. I'm Rich Morrell, and joining me in the studio this evening we have got Mr. Race Director Chris Parr.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Top Flight himself.
Mr. Top Flight, get it right.
Yeah. And special guest presenter with us, Cameron Allan.
How we doing, boys? How we doing?
Well, I would say I'm all right, Cam. I would say I'm all right, but I've got a little bit of a bad back. I don't want to lay it on too thick. I don't want too much sympathy, but I'm not as comfortable as I normally am sat on this couch. But more importantly, what about you two boys? You have been much more active than me, who was laid up all over here. So what's been going on for you?
Yeah, I thought you were just getting into yoga when I opened the door before, and you're.
I wish it was. Maybe I feel like I need to be getting into my yoga. This would have possibly stopped this happening, but yeah, I'm not in a good place.
It's all there.
It is. There's no denying it. I've got no qualms admitting that. Yeah, I'm getting old and the body can't do what it used to do. I was telling Cam before we started this, I ran 3 days in a row, right? But the volume was high, right? I'd done 6 miles, then I was done 8 miles, then I was in a 7 miler. And when you're chugging 15 stone around for them kind of volumes, you know, the calves are in bits, but it's the back that's gone this time. So yeah, it's the body's ways of saying enough's enough, Rich. Hang up them spikes, lad, you're done.
You'll have to get in Lycra and get out on your bike.
Oh, you know what? I'm sketchy on the roads, man. I don't like being on the roads. I get too many drivers around and people are a little bit aggy around where I'm from. So we'll take it easy on the roads. But anyway, enough about me. You boys, what's been happening?
So I've been working on quite a few events. So I've just come back from Edinburgh Running Festival, which was an amazing event. The backdrop is incredible. So it goes round the back of Arthur's Seat and behind Holyrood Palace. And yeah, it's 4 laps for the half marathon. So you've got to go 4 times up the mountain for that. Well, up and down, twice for the 10K, once for the 5K. And I did a recce the day before and ran around the 10K as a bit of a hard run out. And yeah, my quads aren't forgiving me now. So, but I got around this. It's one way to get fit, isn't it?
Dragging yourself out.
Dragging myself out. I mean, yeah, I went around like 550 miling, but that is, you'll find it on my Strava somewhere. It's obviously a lot slower pace on the way up, but a lot harder.
That's Cam's easy run pace.
Probably. Not up the back of Arthur's Seat, like, definitely.
What about you, Cam? Obviously been racing quite a bit this season. Some big performances ticked off. How's things going?
Yeah.
What's the plan for the rest of the season?
I got a couple more races planned. I don't know whether I'll do them or not. I don't feel like I'm in amazing shape, but you know how it is. You can turn it around quite quickly. Yeah. But got a 3K coming up at BMC Tooting Beck. Got the Mile Classic up in Stirling to do at the end of August. So I'm excited about that as well. But at the moment, just enjoying being at home in the northeast for a little bit in Durham, Spennymoor, enjoying slightly hillier runs around the northeast rather than the nice flat bushy park I'm used to.
In terms of the northeast then, favourite training venue?
That's got to be Maiden Castle.
Yeah.
I mean, to do a grass session there is just fantastic. It's such a long and nice place to run.
Yeah, nice backdrop there as well. You used to train up there a lot with Lindsay Dunn, didn't you?
Yeah,
back in the day.
Quite a lot of training there. So we could do like the only drawback of Maiden Castle is that it is totally flat, so you can't get that much variation session.
Got that tiny little dip when you head towards the back end rugby pitches.
Yeah, we'd basically go there and do mile flat reps, or you could go rent the cricket pitch. Was amazing. I preferred that. It's pretty.
Cutting around on that cricket pitch quite a lot, training. The bad boy. Cameron Boy.
Oh, bad boy actually.
Yeah, that was his bread and butter, that cricket pitch. Him and Dave Laws over there training their sessions away.
Tell you trained there before winning the World Cross Country, Benita Johnson.
Really?
Yeah, because she came across and Lindsay was looking after her sessions for a while. There's her and a few others of the Australian group.
There you go.
Nick Beddoes' group.
There's a little bit of northeast running trivia for you. On to more pressing things, Aintree 5K, we had that event. It was a great event to watch. The stream was absolutely fantastic, and we'll get onto that later on. But performances, obviously, I feel we'll dive straight in with Alex Bell, who, you know, she had a bit of a tough gig on the day, to be fair. But it was a strong solo effort. And on that course, in those conditions, I felt heartily sorry for her. But, she ticked off another win. She got more points on the board. So yeah, Chris, thoughts on her run that day?
Yeah, I think just outside 16 minutes is a solid run out. She ran out quite a bit faster than that, but the wind just picked up loads, and it is quite an isolate. It's basically it's quite exposed, so it's very flat, but the wind did pick up. So it's a tough gig if you get a bit isolated, and if you compare that to her run at Battersea when she was in a group with quite a few of the lads and got pulled round. Compare that to when you're a bit isolated. If you've gone out hard, it becomes a hard day's work. But I think it's good. I think if you step up from middle distance from 8:15, you go to these longer ones, you always feel good in the first mile to 2 mile, and then it goes either way. So on a day like that, isolated, a bit windy, slightly off it can feel like a very long last mile. But fair play, grind it out, was head and shoulders above the rest of the field. So, overall, it's a good run.
I'm looking forward to seeing how her season pans out, because I think she's transitioned unbelievably well considering this time last year. She's running 800 metres on the track. She's now transitioned to the road really successfully and had some real strong performances over the 10K and the 5K. I know there was talk in a post-race interview with Lloyd, it might have been a Battersea or it might have been an Aintree, potential of a half marathon down the line. So all eyes on Alex Bell going forward.
So I find it so interesting, the idea of going straight from 800 running. I know she does a bit of 15 as well.
Yeah.
Because I was expecting to maybe see her at British Champs, for instance, doing something there because it's such a big event. But she's fully committed to roads now, isn't she?
Yeah. And I think she's doing great. You look at her 10Ks as well. Like, you would think that the 5K would come easier than the 10K, but arguably some of her the 5K is great around Battersea Park, to be fair, but her 10K runs have been really solid as well, and I've noticed she's winning as well, or she's always in the mix, and I just think she's transitioned exceptionally well.
I actually think if you're a 800, 1500 runner from the strength side of an 800, which I think Alex is, because I remember maybe 5-6 years ago seeing her finish just outside the medals in the Northern Cross Country at Pontefract, which is, if you can win, if you can if you can be up there in the Northern Cross Country in the mud in the middle of the winter, you've obviously got a good bit of strength. I remember seeing that and thinking at the time that was really impressive. It's sometimes maybe easier to do half marathon than it is to go to 5K. At least I felt that perception-wise in terms of the training, because we can realise what these times mean, but going from running like 4-minute mile sessions, like 60 seconds a lap pace, and then running 5-minute mile, 5-minute miles like a cruise, and it just feels totally different. But going and running like 5K pace is sometimes awful, because you feel great for a couple of miles and then you feel absolutely horrific. So maybe there is something to be said for going for. It's different going all the way to the marathon, but there's that threshold type of training suits to the half marathon, which you're probably already doing as an 8:1500 runner.
And when it comes to like the end of a race as well, if you're somebody like Alex Bell with that 800 background, I know it didn't come to this at Aintree, but moving forward into other top flight races, if it comes down to a finish, the confidence she must have to know that she could outrun anybody in that last 100, 200 metres just with that background of 800 metre running, that speed she's got, just must give you so much confidence going into other races in the series.
Yeah, without a shadow of doubt, she's always going to fancy a kick in any kind of race if it comes down to it.
I'm speaking to Alex, she's signed up for Fulham, so she's already won 2 top flight races now. If she gets to the start line and the finish line at Fulham, you could be looking at the series winner or favourite to be the series winner. So obviously with 2 wins in the bag, gets a 3rd one, and it pretty much seals the deal. So be interesting to see if anybody else who's already won one of the previous races can get another win in before that, and then it could make it really interesting towards the end of the season, which is what we want. We want to see, more females doing multiple events to make it like a spectacle towards the end. But it would be really good to have somebody give Alex a good run for her money,
Yeah.
right down to the wire.
And on the note of good runs, another man who was clicking points in entry, Ben the Boss Connor, put the boss moves in, didn't he? And dropped an emphatic last 250, really pulled away from Rich Allan. It was building from about 700, 800 metres out. Him and Rich Allan did trade positions slightly for a small section of the race. But then Connor took over and really just hammered it home. And yeah, another good run from Ben Connor. Obviously, second at Battersea Park to Phil Sessman. No shame in that, but came back, learned from it, learned where he went wrong, and made sure it wasn't happening in entry.
Yeah, I think you just hit the nail on the head there. So he was just outside 14 minutes in both races. Entry was very windy, so if anything, that's quite a bit more impressive. He done a lot of the running himself. Like you said, Rich Allan did give him a good run for his money. He was right up there. But he had learned tactically from Battersea, started the wind up a little bit earlier, 250, really put his foot down to pull away, didn't leave anything to chance. And series-wise, obviously that's 2 races now, a second and a first. And yeah, we should be, not sure exactly when this is going live compared to filming, but we should have seen him in the Quayside 5K by then. So he's going to be right up there in the series. Yeah. And we could potentially have 2 Olympians winning the Top Flight series, which would be obviously amazing for us, because that's a fantastic buy-in if 2 of your British Olympians are coming to your events multiple times and saying, yes, this is good for us, we want to do it. So yeah, well, thank you for them for doing it.
And I think it's really good for, young athletes out there watching this show to see somebody like Ben Connor, who's already extremely experienced and knows how to race and stuff, go away from a race where he's finished second place, go away and think about the tactics, learn from it, and learn from every race that you might not be entirely happy with. Apply it to the next one, take the win that time around with better tactics, worked on it in training, and now he's went away and he's got himself a win in the series.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it shows his level of experience and professionalism around the sport, which you would expect from an athlete like Ben Connor. And I think he's a good role model for the junior athletes, and I like the way he conducts himself, and I like the way he carries himself. I know he's had interviews with Lloyd Kempson at the beginning of our races. Lloyd's grabbed him for a quick chat there, and just the way he comes across, the way he just this nonchalant attitude towards racing, I think is actually quite good, because we've spoken in other pods about how pressure can affect performance, and actually he's just like, yeah, I'm going to run hard. If they want to come with me, it's going to hurt them, and we'll see what happens. And it's almost that attitude that I just think, that's good. And that's, for some athletes that might be watching that, some of the junior ones that maybe struggle with the nerves, they might look at Ben Connor as a bit of an inspiration, a bit of an idol, and be like, oh, well, he's chill about this and he's doing X, Y, and Z, so I can afford to be chill about it.
Yeah, he's very, very composed.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, well, yeah, like you said, professional, but yeah, just comes across very composed, and what an excellent athlete. Yeah, and absolutely fantastic.
And he's got himself a Top Flight nickname now, so Ben the Boss Connor. Ben the Boss Connor, yeah, exactly. So on the note of the live stream then, obviously, we had the race, we had the commentating on, we had Kempy down on the ground doing a chat with the athletes beforehand. It seemed to go smoothly. We, in our professional manner, have gone away and learnt from maybe previous technical issues that have occurred during our streams. And, we've said this from the off, we're just trying to do our best for the sport to get more exposure to it and put it on for people to watch anyway. But, it does come with its challenges. And obviously, Chris, you sort of, I always said birth the idea. Someone said to me, he was like, why'd you say birth Top Flight? And I'm like, well, he sort of did, but you birthed the idea of this Top Flight show and how it's going to run out. And, it's evolved from what it was when we started in January 24, when it was me and Cam in a studio just talking over a stream. Now it's a show, now it's a broadcast, and you've got Lloyd involved with it as well, and he's doing his bit as well. So it's going from strength to strength. Where do you see it going though?
I think it is going to continue to develop and get better. And we've mentioned a few times that not exactly a blueprint, but a lot of the ideas have come from watching the cycling and watching the Tour de France coverage and comparing that to the offering that we've had in athletics for years, where there's this general frustration where you just, like, even in the Olympics, you'll see the front of the race and you don't get any feedback from the rest of the race. And they're not doing split screens, and they're not doing hardly anything that we're trying to do, even though they've got a significantly bigger budget, shall we say.
Yeah.
Whereas when you watch the cycling, you could be sitting watching the Tour de France for 4 or 5 hours. You're not getting bored at all, because they're cutting from various different camera angles. They're going to Adam Blythe on the microphone on the back of a bike, getting towards the cyclists and giving you like an actual update. It could be quite gimmicky, but they're getting data from the heart rates, their power. They're bringing in interviews and going to split screen, and they're never missing the action, but they're bringing in scenery on a different shot, and they're cutting to these different experts. There's banter going on. There's the different groups and the different camera angles. They're just trying to be so more interactive.
Yeah.
And the coverage just hooks you in. They'll do a little bit of a preview where they're showing all the stage profile. I know it's not directly translatable to running, because cycling is obviously a different sport, but they'll be looking at what tactics could be playing out that day. And, a little bit like how they do it to death on the football. They go way over the top with like hours of pre-shows and hours of post-analysis shows, but the cycling have like really hit the sweet spot where they'll go through all the key information that you need. So anybody who's even a first timer could be going, oh, they got that hill now. They said that this is going to be the tough one where you're expecting Pogacar to kick up. And then you see it unfold the way that they've said, or you see it unfold totally differently. And they're like, oh, this wasn't what was going to happen. They get really animated, and their coverage is amazing. I actually DM'd Ola to be like, Ola, come on the Top Flight show. I want some ideas. I'll try again. I'll do a follow-up message. I'll ask ChatGPT what's the best follow-up message. Yeah. Send all I want. See if she can go in, because she obviously comes from an athletics background, so she must have some ideas of how we can make athletics like more engaging coverage-wise. And then hopefully we're a catalyst for change as well, because it would be great if some of the other coverage of athletics was doing the same thing, because ultimately that's what we want as our athletics fans. Yeah. And I guess you've been in some of the races now and followed some of the media, so hopefully you've seen that. But yeah, any other
Well, I
ideas?
think it's a really good idea to have things that you can cut to whilst the race is still ongoing during a race, because the thing with distance racing is sometimes the same can be happening. You know what I mean? I know that as an athlete myself, is sometimes you've got to get in the zone and you've got a pack run, and they'll be doing the same running for 3-4 minutes. So if you have things that you can dip into whilst that's ongoing, and people can still be watching that in case a move is made, in case something exciting breaks out, like you said, we hit a hill or a section of the course that you want to be focused on. If you have other things you can dip into at the same time, then it just keeps the viewer entertained the entire half-hour 10K you're watching, the entire hour, 5-minute half marathon you're watching. So I think that's really important to try and build in the coverage more and more.
How would you feel about, because I know obviously you've competed in a few of the top flight races, but like I mentioned, the way that the show's evolving and growing anyway, and we've got Lloyd Kempson now who does like our sort of like pit walk style, gets a bit of interviews, gets a bit of content with the coaches and athletes. How would you feel as an athlete in maybe that last 5 minutes before a race? Like, because some people really want to get in the zone and might not want to break away from that. But for you as an athlete who's competing, if you were greeted by Kempy with a mic and he was like, "What, mate? How's it going?" Like, and I'll be, "Oh, I know, yeah." He was like, how's things going to be going? But how's it looking for today? How are you feeling about today? Would you be all right with that? Or?
I'd be all right with it, and I think the sport needs it anyway.
Yeah,
I think it's that whole idea of, I don't watch the F1, so I don't know like the names and stuff of the characters, but you have that guy who walks down the grid, don't you? Exactly. You need that kind of thing. I think the sport needs it.
Yeah.
So even if you have athletes that don't like it so much, I just think it needs to be implemented.
Well, they can almost be like, I don't want to talk. It can be in a bit. Well, that makes good TV.
We've done it where when we had like Lewis Moses did it at Battersea and was asking what shoe review, and we commented that it was funny because I think
so, like they didn't, like a few of them didn't know. They were like, I don't know, I picked these up yesterday. Like, oh,
Was it Jess Gibbon who was like, oh yeah, I haven't actually worn these yet? Like the advice that you just said, definitely do not just put a pair of trainers on and race in it. And like, there's your like top level elite athlete going, oh yeah, I just got these. I haven't worn them yet.
Yeah.
What you need is a proper warm-up area at each race where you know all the athletes are going to be warming up. They're all going to be in the same area.
Yeah.
Spectators are out the way and it's just for the athletes.
Yeah.
So then you can send somebody in like Lloyd to then do the interviews there, and it doesn't get in the way of anything else. Because you don't want somebody on the start line when you're trying to find your position.
Yeah, it needs to be like 50. What we're trying to do is do it in like about between 25 minutes and 5 minutes before the race, where we can try and get people, and maybe it's like asking some things that are fairly light-hearted in amongst that.
Yeah.
And Lloyd he'll know the crowd, he'll read the audience. So if somebody doesn't want to get interviewed, he'll avoid them.
Yeah.
Try and keep it quite light-hearted. It's interesting what you said about like the cutting between different things. Like athletics does try to do it, but it doesn't do it right, which is such a frustration. So you'll be watching the 5K, and they'll cut to the field events, which I enjoy watching, but they'll cut and watch like 3 pole vaults. It takes 3 or 4 minutes. They'll come back and they miss the moves. Yeah. What's better is if they just went to split screen and showed them both at the same time, so you're guaranteeing you're not missing any of the action. Or they'll sometimes do interviews with people, and it'll be, like 2 people in a room having a fairly serious interview, and then they start the build up to the race after that, and then but why not just do that during the race? You could be putting that on in among, you could be watching the marathon for a couple of hours, put these elite athlete interviews or interviews with their coaches and things like that during the race, but focus it on like building the personality up. Don't keep it so serious. Put it a bit more lighthearted. And you want the fans, inverted commas, or the running public to be able to look and go like, oh, that's that guy. They'll watch this and they'll, oh, that's that guy. He's the teacher down in St Mary's.
Yeah.
Go on and give a shit, because there's something that can like latch onto, because there's a little bit of personality in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're trying. But any ideas, hit us up and we'll try and do everything.
On the note of other, say, broadcasts then, sports broadcasters, I know we've spoke about like how we think like the commentaries are like a key part to the streams, and any sort of standout bits of commentary as like a sports fans that you've like witnessed over the years that really stick with you, that you think, oh, that was such like a peak moment. That's like, I'll tee things up for you. For me, I always remember watching London 2012 5K final. I think Farah had already won the 10K. And I don't know whether it was because it was London, because it was Farah. Well, it was a culmination of everything. But it was London, it was Farah, he'd won the 10K, Crammy and Brendan Foster on commentary, and Crammy, that last 400, like, he's a good commentator, but he was peaking that night. The way he built it, that last 400, and like you can feel the energy through the TV when you were watching it, and it always sticks in my mind, that last 100 meters. And I'm sure when he crosses the line, like Crammy's screaming down the mic, like beautiful, and you're like, it's absolutely class. So that, like, it to set the scene, that's like a standout for me. I don't know whether you've got any. It might not even be from athletics, because there's so many sports out there that have great commentators, like the WWE.
James, you know what?
Absolute boil.
You know what I was thinking of is like one of the best memes is it's from the UFC, where somebody gets a knockout and it cuts back to the commentators and they're all like Joe Rogan and like they obviously, UFC and Joe Rogan, they do this sort of thing for the UFC anyway. They do the they do their build-ups, they do their analysis, but then their commentary is totally organic as well, and you get these like reactions. You can't fake it. Actually, at entry, we cut across to you, and you are like, well into it.
So invested in it.
If it's organic, it works. So that because it was so memeable but organic. Like the UFC one with Joe Rogan, that's it for me. That one.
I think. I mean, I don't necessarily have any specific pieces of commentary.
Yeah.
But I just think commentary is so important. It makes a sport twice as exciting to watch.
Yeah.
If you have people there that are so engaged in it, the commentators, they're so excited, and you can see that passion. It rubs off on the fans.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what, that's all we're trying to do. We're just trying to build more engagement with the fans so that they can actually feel a bit more instead of just watching a stream. And I mean, when any event puts on a stream, that's great because we know it's hard work too. But then when you can add in the commentary and things like that, it just makes it more of an event, and you can feel that as a listener. So yeah,
That's
that's yeah, that's class. Right, well, I think we boxed off a lot there, guys. So I don't want to keep you any longer than we need to. So we'll call it a close. But if you've enjoyed this episode, please drop us a like, share it. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel, RunThrough. That'd be greatly appreciated. And again, lads, thanks for joining me this evening. It's been a crack of an episode.
Cheers, Rich.
Thank you.